Hello, my name is Graham Hoslett, and this is our thought for the day for Monday, the 9th of September. Today we're looking at Psalm 22. At first sight, the first half of Psalm 22 seems an unlikely place to look for comfort in times of trouble. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from the words of my groaning? Oh my God, I cry out to you by day, but you do not answer. By night and am not silent. The heading of the psalm in the NIV reads, for the director of music, to the tune of the doe of the morning. In other versions, to the tune of the hind of the dawn. Sadly, we do not know the tune the title refers to. Was it a mournful dirge, a gentle ballad? It probably wasn't the 1000 BC equivalent of a heavy metal or garage sound. Sadly, we don't know the tune. But in old Arab poems, a hind is a word that best describes a lonely deer. One, for some reason, finding itself lost and alone, cut off from the rest of its herd. And whereas stags will wander from time to time alone and apart, quite happy, does tend to go around in groups when they can. The image the title suggests is a lone deer standing on a crag, gazing into the blue distance as the sun rises, searching in the hope of discovering its friends, but looking into the distance that morning. All it can see is its own shadow in the mist. My God, why have you forsaken me? One of the things that strikes us about this psalm, however, is that this is a prayer not to an unknown God and not to an impersonal, previously absent one, but a personal and precious, but presently unseen one. My God. It is only those who believe that know the pain of the absence of the Lord. The question why at the beginning of Psalm 22, as every question why when trouble comes or disaster strikes, represents not so much a crisis of doubt, but a true crisis that only comes to true believers. Only those who believe have to wrestle at times with doubt. In Psalm 22, the psalmist writes of God-forsakenness as one who believes. But if anything, his belief only makes matters worse and deepens the agony. If he believed less in the greatness of God and the goodness of God, maybe the pain wouldn't hurt so much, when it seems like the Lord doesn't care and isn't acting. He does not say as the fool does in Psalm 14, verse 1, there is no God. It is only those who believe who feel the pain of his turning away. But the painful truth is to lead the flock on, the shepherd will sometimes establish a careful distance, if only to lead them through the deeper valleys, to a place where they can be closer to him. Of course, of all the psalms in the book, it is Psalm 22 that Jesus shouted out on the cross just before he died. Psalm 22, verse 1. In Matthew 27, verses 45 to 50, from noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which means, my God, why have you forsaken me? When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. The rest said, "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. Of all the verses in the Bible, let alone the book of Psalms, he could have shouted out just before he died, why this one? Well, maybe it was simply a clear statement of fact. After hanging on the cross for 6 hours, the last 3 hours in darkness, as your sin and my sin, the sin of the world, was placed on his shoulders, the Father turned his face away. The abandonment that should be ours was levelled fully upon him. My God, why have you forsaken me? He suffered the abandonment belonging to each of us. The truth is, however abandoned we feel, he is with us still and will never let us go. The abandoned one, walking with those who feel abandoned. Maybe it was too all the clear references in this psalm to all that had happened that morning to him that caused him to quote the first verse. Verses 6 to 8 remind us of the leaders and the people. But I am a worm and not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who see me mock me, they hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord, they say. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. Well, that's just what the people and the leaders said and did. Verses 14 to 16 describe well the agony of the crucified. I am poured out like water. All my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax. It has melted within me. My mouth is dried up. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Verses 17 and 18 are a direct prophecy of what happened that day to Jesus. People stare and gloat over me. They divide my clothes among them and cast lots for my garment. Well, that's just what they did. Maybe it was not just the abandonment he felt as the Father turned his face away that caused him to shout this verse out. Maybe it was that this was the fulfillment of so much of Psalm 22 in those around him that day that he saw that forced this psalm onto his lips. I mean, do we see in the trials and the sufferings we face a similar outworking of all the Bible says to us about the trials and tribulations that the chosen in the Lord face in this life? Jesus said, if anyone would come after me, he must take up his cross and follow me. But however abandoned we may feel, however abandoned David felt when he himself penned this psalm and wrote this prophecy, when Jesus died, the abandonment David wrote of and prophesied would come was visited upon Jesus and not on us. The first half of Psalm 22 doesn't just begin with the cry of dereliction, my God, why have you forsaken me? We also find the tremendous prayer of verses 19 to 21. But you, O Lord, be not far off. O my strength, come quickly to help me. Deliver my life from the sword, my precious life from the power of the dogs. Rescue me from the mouth of the lions. Save me from the horns of the wild oxen. Well, I doubt very much that what may trouble you in the days to come will be, literally be powerful dogs, the mouths of real lions, or literally be the sharp end of oxes. But sword, dogs, lions and oxen speak of violent, powerful, overwhelming odds and enemies, too great for any of us to handle on our own. Friends, it is no weakness to recognize we need the help of another. Whatever it is that you and I might face today and in the days to come, we do not face it alone. The simple prayer of verses 19 to 21 is a prayer we can make our own. But you, O Lord, be not far off. O my strength, come quickly to help me. Deliver my life, my precious life. Rescue me. Save me. May the one who was truly forsaken for you comfort you in every moment of crisis.